Each morning held the promise of a new adventure, but today felt different. Sarah stood in front of the bathroom mirror, the steam curling around her, blurring the reflection of a woman who seemed both familiar and unfamiliar. Her hair, a chaotic mix of curls from a restless night, framed her face, while her tired blue eyes held the weight of a million thoughts. It was one of those mornings. The kind where everything felt heavy, the air, her heart, the world outside. How have I let this happen? She wondered aloud, pressing her palms against the cool marble sink. The reality of her hectic life loomed. Her job was demanding, her responsibilities ever increasing, and the slow pull of loneliness whispered in her ear. Yet, in this moment, she found solace in the little things. The rhythmic sound of water, the scent of lavender soap, and the only unwavering companion in her life, Jake. Jake, her golden retriever, was more than just a pet, he was her confidant, her source of joy. Somehow, he always knew when the weight of the world pressed down. He was there, patiently waiting just outside the door, a fluffy beacon of unconditional love. Sarah could almost hear his tail thumping against the wooden floor, his eagerness palpable. She took a deep breath, allowing the tension to dissolve as she turned the shower handle. The sound of cascading water filled the room, creating a protective cocoon from the chaos outside. But then, just as she was about to step into her warm sanctuary, a gentle scratching at the door broke her moment of peace. Jake, just a minute. She called through the closed door, the scratching only intensified, mixed with the soft whimper of a dog desperate for attention. Sarah couldn't help but chuckle. All right. Come in, she relented, opening the door just enough to catch a glimpse of that golden fur and those soulful brown eyes. In an instant, Jake nudged the door wide open and bounded into the bathroom, letting out an excited bark that echoed off the tiles. It was a moment of sheer comedy, and Sarah couldn't help but laugh as water droplets flew past her when he shook his coat. Really, buddy, she playfully scolded, her heart filling with warmth. Didn't anyone tell you that showers are a private affair? Jake padded closer, clearly unfazed by the rules of human etiquette. He took a tentative step into the tub, instinctively understanding that this was a place where they could share laughter together, where two souls became one in the embrace of simplicity. The rushed mornings seemed to melt away, replaced by a bubble of joy that surged through her. As water cascaded down her back, the dappled light danced around them, creating a rainbow in the mist. Jake, fearless and silly, began to circle her like a newborn star, his tail wagging with unrestrained energy. His playfulness was contagious. She found herself lost in the moment, and for the first time in weeks, her heart lightened. She reached for her phone, tilting it to capture the moment on camera, giggling as she recorded the absurdity of a dog in the shower. This is going to be legendary, she exclaimed, knowing her friends would get a kick out of it. Jake tilted his head, ears flopping over, as if he understood every word she said. With a shake of his body, water sprayed everywhere, drenching Sarah's already wet hair. A burst of laughter escaped her lips, a sound so pure and genuine it echoed throughout the bathroom. This simple interaction epitomized their relationship, love, laughter, and an unspoken understanding of each other's worlds. But amidst the joy, a fleeting thought flickered in her mind. Did she create space for herself amidst the chaos? Or was she simply brushing her worries aside, letting laughter become a temporary escape? The weight of these questions tugged at her heart, yet the glimmer of Jake's eyes grounded her, a reminder of what truly mattered. In that moment of connection and lightheartedness, she realized that it didn't matter how overwhelming life became. Jake was her constant, a living testament to the beauty and simplicity of companionship. The bond they shared, filled with laughter and unconditional love, was more powerful than any stress or challenge life threw their way. Once the dance of water and joy reached its peak, Sarah made the decision to turn off the shower. She swept Jake into her arms, his wet fur warming against her skin as they both took a moment to catch their breath. You're the best co-pilot for this adventure called life, she whispered, holding him tight. Jake's response was immediate, one wag of his tail, his eyes sparkling with that familiar joy. They may have shared a bathroom this morning, but what they were building was a sanctuary that extended far beyond tiles and showers. It was a space filled with trust, laughter, and a bond that would only grow stronger with each passing day. She stepped out of the shower and back into the real world. She glanced at the recording. What started as a routine morning transformed into a beautiful slice of life, capturing their story, the story of Sarah and Jake. Today marked another page in their shared history, a testament to the power of love in all its forms. With a smile dancing on her lips, she draped a towel around Jake, laughing at their shared adventure. It wasn't just a morning. It was a reminder that sometimes, the best moments happen when we least expect them. Every day might pose a struggle, but with Jake by her side, a goofy retriever who bounded into her life with unfiltered joy, the chaos felt conquerable. And as long as they had each other, every morning would be a new opportunity to embrace life's unpredictable beauty. Cleaning up, the warm steam from the shower faded, Sarah stepped out, feeling invigorated yet playful. The unexpected shower escapade with Jake had left her chuckling, and she glanced back at him, who was now standing by the sink, panting happily as water trickled down his golden fur. There was something almost regal about him. His demeanor spoke of loyalty and companionship, traits that resonated deeply within her heart. But now came the aftermath of their antics. Droplets of water dripped from her hair, puddling on the floor like tiny jewels, while Jake, in his exuberance, had managed to create a mini water park in the bathroom. The fluffy towel she had meant to dry herself with lay in a soggy heap, partially chewed by Jake, who looked up at her with those innocent eyes as if to say, "What? This is my post-shower fun." Sarah couldn't help but burst into laughter. "Oh boy, what a team we are," she said, knowing that cleaning this mess would take a good deal of effort, but she was fueled by the joy of their shared moment. "Let's tackle this together," she declared, picking up a towel and tossing it playfully at Jake. He caught it midair with his mouth and pranced around the bathroom, tail wagging furiously. His excitement was contagious, making her forget the growing chaos around them. "Hurry up and help, Jake. The floor isn't going to clean itself," she teased, and with that, the game began. Jake dropped the towel in favor of chasing after Sarah as she swept the corners of the bathroom, a mission to reclaim order in their little sanctuary. With each swipe of the cloth, her heart lightened. She felt a warmth growing within her, a sense of belonging. In the wake of a cluttered life, moments spent with Jake turned mundanity into a playful expedition. As she cleaned, she recounted their best memories, the day they met, when she first saw his fluffy face poking out from a box at the shelter, and how he'd nuzzled her cheek as if to say, "I choose you." They had an unspoken understanding, built on years of shared comforts and adventures, but today felt different. It was as if Jake understood the underlying tension that had been plaguing her thoughts. Maybe cleaning isn't such a bad thing after all, Sarah pondered as she threw a damp towel toward the laundry basket. Jake, agile and witty, raced to intercept it, nudging it with his nose before standing proudly beside the basket. "Well done, partner," she cheered, and he replied with an enthusiastic bark, his golden eyes shining. The joy of their playful banter absorbed her worries. For the first time in weeks, she felt moments of lightness replacing her anxieties. There was something satisfying about this daily chore, transforming the spaces they occupied into havens of joy. When Sarah finally finished wiping up the last of the water, she turned to find Jake sitting dutifully at her feet, tongue lolling out, as if to say, "I've been of great help, haven't I?" She couldn't help but shake her head and laugh at his antics. "You little goofball." Just then, her phone buzzed on the counter, a jarring reminder that life outside this moment awaited her. Sarah picked it up to find a series of texts from Emily, ****Hey, can we come over later? I have something amazing to share, ****. Sarah's heart skipped a beat. Emily usually concocted wild ideas, and the prospect of something unexpected intrigued her. "Of course. Bring it on," Sarah replied, her excitement stirring within her. She imagined the energy Emily brought into a room and how much she needed a friend like that in her life right now. As she tucked her phone away, Jake abruptly broke her reverie. He began pacing in circles, his tail a blur of golden fluff, clearly eager for more interaction. "What is it, boy? Is it time for a walk?" With a knowing nod from both of them, they grabbed their leashes, Jake practically bursting at the seams with excitement. It was as if he understood that today was going to bring something special. Together, they stepped out into the world, met by the crisp afternoon air mingled with faint sunlight breaking through the clouds. The neighborhood greeted them like an old friend, familiar houses lining the street, trees swaying gently in the breeze, and even the occasional friendly face passing by. Today, however, there was a sense of urgency in Jake's step, which he mirrored as they ventured down the path that as they wandered deeper into their little community. All seemed perfectly ordinary until they stumbled upon a gathering at the park. A little surprise-awaited theme community event was taking place, filled with laughter, music, and children chasing one another around. Sarah paused, feeling drawn to the vibrancy in the air. "Look at all that fun," she exclaimed, her face lighting up with possibility. Jake, sensing her excitement, tugged eagerly at his leash, practically begging her to join in. It was as if he felt the same magnetic pull toward joy. "All right, let's see what this is about," she laughed, and they headed toward the commotion, instantly swept up in the atmosphere. The park was alive, food stalls lining the paths, families gathered in joyous clusters, and a small stage set for live music in the corner. Stepping into this new world, Sarah felt her anxiety begin to dissolve. Here was a chance for connection, for laughter, a break from the demanding stresses of her life. The more she took in, the more Jake seemed fascinated, sniffing every corner, his tail wagging energetically. Their exploration led them closer to the stage, where a local band was playfully strumming upbeat tunes. Suddenly, to Sarah's delight, Jake spotted a group of children playing fetch nearby, and without a moment's hesitation, he darted off, leash slipping from her grip. "Jake," she called, torn between concern and amusement. But as she watched him bound toward the children, she couldn't help but laugh. His natural instinct to befriend and engage with those around him was infectious. "Go get him, buddy," she cheered, surprised by the rush of joy she felt watching him fit right in with the group. Jake leaped into the fray, and the children erupted in glee, tossing a bright orange ball for him to retrieve. Every moment felt exhilarating, a reminder of the simple pleasures that made life beautiful. As they engaged in play, Sarah instead took a step back, leaning against a nearby tree, soaking in the scene unraveling before her. Her worries faded into the background, replaced by the laughter and chatter of families, music in the air, and the thrill of dogs chasing balls under the afternoon sun. And then it hit her, the reassurance that perhaps life wasn't about constantly searching for meaning in every moment, but rather celebrating the little gestures of joy that kept her grounded. The bond she shared with Jake encapsulated this philosophy perfectly, providing a lens through which to appreciate even the smallest blessings. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, Sarah breathed deeply and smelled a simple moment. Pure in its essence, a reminder that life was beautiful in all its unpredictable twists. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting golden hues across the park, Sarah felt grateful for Jake, for this impromptu adventure, and for the joys that lay ahead. The future was full of possibilities, and she was ready to embrace them alongside her loyal friend. The surprise guest, the sun, hung low in the sky, casting a warm golden glow over the park, a perfect backdrop to the joy that had filled Sarah's heart that day. Jake, still riding high on excitement, darted between children, his golden fur a blur as he chased after every ball thrown in his direction. His laughter echoed in playful barks, a sound that brought a smile to Sarah's face, her heart swelling with love for her furry companion. As she leaned against a nearby tree, taking in the laughter and excitement surrounding her, Sarah felt a sudden buzz of anxiety ripple through the air. It was fleeting, a reminder of the uncertainties lurking in the recesses of her mind, but still present enough to create a contrasting note to the otherwise joyful atmosphere. "Just enjoy the moment," she whispered to herself, forcing the negativity away. A shift in energy pulled her attention back toward Jake, who had now become the star of the show, children surrounding him, eager to pet him and revel in his playful antics. But a few yards away, she noticed something that made her blood run cold, a storm cloud rolling in from the distance. The sky, once clear and bright, was turning darker, casting shadows over the park. As if sensing her unease, Jake paused, his ears perked up. He looked back at Sarah, signaling that something wasn't quite right. "Come here, buddy," she called, her voice slightly shaky. She couldn't shake the feeling that they needed to leave. It was as if an intuitive instinct was nudging her to gather Jake and exit the park before the weather turned chaotic. Unbeknownst to her, the situation around them was rapidly evolving. Just as she began to march toward Jake, a loud clap of thunder boomed overhead. The sound sent a shiver down her spine, instantly scattering the joyous laughter and turning businesses into chaos as families rushed to gather their belongings and head for shelter. Jake's joyful demeanor shifted. He stood by her side, now alert, his body tense as he sensed the change in the atmosphere. "It's okay, it's just a little thunder," Sarah assured him, but deep down, she knew all too well that storms could spark fear in animals. As the first raindrop hit her forehead, she grabbed Jake's leash and made a swift decision. "We need to get back home, Jake," she exclaimed. The skies opened up and rain began to pour down, quickly drenching everything in sight, transforming the lively park into a slippery, chaotic scene. They hurriedly navigated through the throngs of people racing toward their cars and the nearby shelter, Jake at her side. The energy around them shifted from joy to urgency. Panic stirred, and Sarah felt her heart race along with the thunderous clouds overhead. Just as she thought they would be able to slip away unnoticed, she turned around to find a familiar face. Emily, her best friend, was caught in the chaos. Struggling to keep hold of a small puppy wriggling in her arms, Emily called out, her voice barely audible over the rising winds. The little puppy, Bella, squirmed restlessly, adding to the urgency of the moment. "Emily, come on," Sarah yelled back, waving her arms to get her attention. But the moment was tense. The last thing she wanted was for Emily or Bella to get hurt in the sudden storm. As the rain intensified, Sarah rushed forward, determined to assist her friend. She quickly secured Jake's leash, holding it tightly as she approached. "Here, let me help you with Bella," she shouted, extending her arms towards Emily. Relief washed over Emily's face, and in a swift motion, she handed Bella over, her other arm fumbling to keep her own belongings from being swept away by the wind. As Sarah cradled the tiny puppy against her chest, she felt a mix of responsibility and fear. She had to keep both animals safe. "Let's find some shelter," she yelled, scanning the area. But just as they turned to head toward the nearest pavilion, a gust of wind blew past, sending tents and tables flying. In an instant, the chaos escalated, and they found themselves in a swirling sea of panic. "Stay close," Sarah shouted, her heart pounding. She could feel Jake at her side, lending her strength as chaos erupted around them. The storm had taken a turn for the worse, and with each flash of lightning illuminating the sky, she felt the urgency elevate. "Where do we go?" Emily shouted, looking frightened yet determined. The weather had turned from a gentle shower to a relentless deluge, and their instincts screamed for safety. "Over there." Sarah pointed toward a large tree, its thick foliage offering some cover. As they dashed toward it, the ground became slick with mud, and Jake struggled to maintain his footing. Just as they reached the tree, another thunderous crack drove the air, ringing like a final warning. Once under the tree's wide branches, they took a moment to catch their breath. Bella trembled in Sarah's arms, feeling the storm's uneasy vigor through her small body. Jake, too, seemed unsettled, but he remained vigilant, ensuring both Sarah and Bella were safe. "Didn't see this weather coming," Emily said, shaking her head, her hair soaked and tangled. "I thought it would just be a fun afternoon with the kids. Now look at us." "I know, but at least we're together," Sarah replied, tempering her nerves with a gentle smile. "We'll make it through this." But as they huddled beneath the tree, the torrential downpour didn't let up. The rain continued to hammer down, shaping puddles on the ground, turning the park into a small lake. Through the breaks in the clouds, she could see the tumultuous skies turning darker, seething with energy. "Is this storm going to last long?" Sarah worried, glancing to Emily. Her friend seemed equally anxious and introspective, both aware of the potential dangers that lay outside the protective brush of the tree. Suddenly, Bella let out a yip, and before they could react, the small puppy wriggled free from Sarah's grasp. "Bella, no!" Sarah cried out just as the puppy darted toward the open space left vulnerable amid the chaos. Time slowed for that split second as Sarah's heart raced. "Jake, stay," she commanded. But she could see the urgency in his eyes, mirroring her fear for Bella. They had to do something. In an instant, instinct kicked in. "Jake, come," she shouted, trying to redirect his attention. Without overthinking it, she took off after Bella, weaving through gusty winds, her heart pounding, fear gnawing at her guts. Bella bounded toward an open area, the sound of the Storm quickly enveloped them. The once joyful scene transformed into something daunting. Sarah dove forward, arms outstretched. Just before she could reach Bella, another clap of thunder resonated through the air close enough that it felt like a drumbeat in her chest. In that moment, the small puppy froze. Time seemed to suspend as she saw the shadows of uncertainty and fear reflected in Bella's innocent eyes. No, don't be scared. Sarah pleaded, her voice breaking through the storm, but before she could react more, Jake surged past her, sensing the puppy's distress. With a burst of speed and determination, he bounded forward, reaching Bella before Sarah could, gently nudging her with his nose to reassure her. A wave of relief rushed over her, and she couldn't help but smile. Good boy, Jake, she called, but the danger was not over. The rain fell heavier, turning the ground into mud, and escape routes started disappearing. Just as she grasped both animals in her arms, an exceptionally strong gust of wind roared through the park, flinging debris around them. Sarah felt her heart race again. This wasn't just a storm, it was becoming treacherous. Get under the tree, Emily shouted, her voice breaking through the chaotic noise around them. The tension wrapped around them, a palpable energy underlined by the fear of nature's fury. With Bella secured against her chest and Jake at her side, they dashed back toward the relative safety of the tree, joining Emily once more. The three huddled together, and with each crack of thunder, Sarah felt the weight of duty settle on her shoulders. They were a team now, an unbreakable bond forged during a chaotic moment. We'll ride this out together, she promised, feeling the loyalty and courage of her furry companions energizing her spirit. The storm might have unleashed chaos, but in that moment, sheer determination coursed through her veins. They would find a way, together, and as the rain poured, cascading like a waterfall, one thing resounded in her heart: love and friendship were worth fighting for, especially in the midst of life's unforeseen storms. A rainy day adventure. The relentless storm raged on, a symphony of thunder and gusts of wind swirling around them beneath the protective branches of the large tree. Sarah, Emily, Jake, and Bella huddled close, trying to find warmth amid the chaos. The world outside transformed into a blur of rain-soaked chaos, while inside their sanctuary, they clung to each other, anchored by an unspoken bond. I didn't expect this when I suggested we meet up, Emily laughed nervously, her hair a tangled mess, droplets rolling down her face. This was supposed to be a fun afternoon. I think we've created our own version of fun, Sarah said, squeezing Bella gently to calm the small puppy's shivers. She felt a sense of responsibility for both of them, and she couldn't bear the thought of letting them feel alone. Through the thick foliage of the tree, jagged bolts of lightning flickered, illuminating their worried faces for just a moment. Each flash felt heavy with energy, an electric pulse that filled the air with a buzz of anxiety. Yet, amidst the harrowing storm, Sarah's determination grew. She couldn't let fear dictate how they would face this moment. Do you think we should try to make a run for it? Sarah asked, her voice steady despite the storm's intensity. Even she wasn't sure of the answer. In an organized way, of course. Emily considered it, glancing at the ferocity of the rain outside. If we stay here, we risk being stuck longer than necessary, but I can't see the pathway well in this storm, she trailed off, biting her lip. Jake, what do you think? Sarah murmured, looking into her dog's deep, understanding eyes. It was a silly question, but she felt a connection, as if he weighed all the options too. He perked up, tail waving as he tuned into her voice, instinctively ready to act. The sudden realization struck Sarah like a lightning bolt. They weren't just three friends and their dog caught in a storm. They were a family, and families faced challenges together. Here's the plan, she said firmly, helping to steady Emily's nerves. We'll wait for a slight break in the rain. We'll move quickly but calmly toward that pavilion near the playground. It's only a short distance, and it has a roof. As soon as we see any opportunity, we go together. Emily nodded, her confidence bolstered. Got it, she replied, her voice gaining strength. As turbulent sheets of rain continued to pour, they shared stories, trying to distract each other from the pounding chaos outside. Laughter broke through the tension as they reminisced about old times, sitting in the wet darkness, touched by the camaraderie of friendship. With each passing minute, the storm seemed to gain momentum. The thunder echoed like a drum in the distance, making Sarah's heart race. She checked the sky through the trees only to feel a jolt. The rain felt heavier than before, pounding against the earth like 1,000 tiny fists. Okay, here goes. Nothing, Sarah announced, feeling her pulse quicken as she glanced skyward. They could do this. She could feel it in her bones. As a momentary lull in the storm came, she leaped up, grabbing Bella's leash, her heart pounding with adrenaline. Now. Move, she shouted, her voice breaking through the noise, and they bolted. The moment felt like diving into the deep end of a pool, both thrilling and terrifying. Jake dashed ahead, instincts awakening as he navigated the slippery ground, while Bella, in Emily's arms, let out tiny yips of encouragement. The fear of the storm fueled a sense of urgency that propelled them forward. Just as they reached the edge of the playground, a blinding flash of lightning struck, illuminating their path. The ground trembled beneath them, and Sarah felt the air thicken with energy. Run faster, she called, urging the group along, but as they sprinted down the path toward the pavilion, the storm unleashed its fury once more. Rain pelted down, soaking them through to their bones, turning the ground into a treacherous slip and slide. Emily slipped slightly, losing her grip on the puppy. Bella. She cried, panic rising again. In a split second, Jake reacted. He lunged, blocking Bella from the stray path that would have led her into the muddy puddle. With a swift motion, he nudged the puppy back toward Emily, ensuring that both would stay safe. Sarah's heart swelled with admiration for her loyal companion. Breathless and soaking wet, the trio finally reached the pavilion, which loomed a Hedamir sanctuary amid the storm. Just as they dove under its shelter, another deafening crack of thunder sent vibrations through their bodies, but at least they had some protection now. Did we make it? Emily laughed while shaking rainwater from her hair, her face a mixture of relief and disbelief. Just barely. Sarah grinned, holding Bella close to her chest. The puppy, now safe, settled down with a soft whimper, realizing that they had escaped the worst of the storm. With Jake by their side, they had all made it together. Looking around the pavilion, their surroundings began to shift from panic to laughter once more. The storm still raged outside, but they were safe for now. Sarah glanced outside, watching. As raindrops drummed against the metal roof overhead, creating a symphony of nature's chaos. This is quite the adventure, Sarah mused as she leaned against one of the wooden beams, letting her heart slow down. We faced a literal storm together. But just as they began to relax, an undeniable noise filled the air, a low rumble that didn't sound like thunder at all. It came again, closer this time, like wheels rolling over pavement. They exchanged puzzled looks just as the sound escalated into the thunder of engines. What is that? Emily inquired, her voice a mix of curiosity and apprehension. Then, out of the gloom, headlights pierced through the rain, illuminating the area around them. A black SUV pulled up to the park entrance, the sound of tires screeching to a halt. A figure jumped out, hastily grabbing an umbrella from the back while shouting something into the wind. Who is that? Sarah squinted, her heart racing anew as she stepped toward the edge of the pavilion to get a better look. Suddenly, the figure turned, and Sarah's breath caught in her throat. It was Evan, her ex from years ago, the one relationship in which she had battled countless storms herself, once full of laughter but clouded by misunderstandings. What's he doing here? Emily whispered, catching her confusion. This isn't good. Evan looked around, eyes scanning the area until they landed on Sarah. For a brief moment, time stood still. Memories of their past flooded her mind like the rain flooding the streets. Joyful moments juxtaposed with the heartache of their breakup. Sarah, he shouted, rushing toward the pavilion, water splashing beneath his hurried feet. The intensity in his voice sent shivers down her spine, and without thinking, she took a step back, unsure of how to handle this surprise confrontation. We should probably stay here, Emily whispered, a protective hand on Sarah's arm. It was clear that this reunion held more weight than the storm swirling outside. As Evan reached the pavilion, his face a mix of relief and concern, he gasped. I've been looking for you. Is everyone okay? Of course we're okay. Just caught in the storm, that's all, Sarah replied, trying to maintain composure, but inside, her heart raced with uncertainty. What did he want? Why had he come after all this time? Is that your dog? Evan asked, looking down at Jake. with an appreciative grin. He's beautiful. You always did have a knack for picking the best companions. Thanks, Sarah muttered, feeling exposed. What are you doing here, Evan? I heard about the storm warning and got worried, he admitted, glancing momentarily at Emily, who stood protectively beside Sarah with Bella still cradled in her arms. I thought I might find you here. We had so many memories in this park. With the rain still pouring hard and the winds roaring outside, they stood in a tense silence. Jake glanced from Sarah to Evan, sensing the charged energy in the air, his body moving slightly in a protective stance. I didn't expect to see you, Sarah finally broke the tension, feeling a rush of emotion. Memories flooded back, late-night talks, sharing dreams, laughter. But then shadows of heartache drifted in, overshadowing them. I wanted to apologize for everything that happened, Evan said, his tone softening. I messed up. I should have been there for you. I've missed you. I miss us. His words landed like raindrops, inducing a tempest of conflicting emotions inside Sarah. The warmth of their past collided painfully with the lessons she had learned since then. Memories of love and betrayal danced before her eyes, the storm's roar intensified, echoing her inner turmoil. She felt a deep, instinctual need to protect the space she had created, one filled with joy and love between her and Jake, with the warmth of friendship from Emily. I don't know if we can go back to that, Evan, she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. Things have changed. I know, he said, taking a small step closer, vulnerability etched on his face. But I want to make things right. Can we at least talk? The rain continued to pour, matching the tumult brewing within her. Sarah glanced over at Emily, whose expression was a mix of support and concern. It was an unspoken reminder that her journey had evolved. The laughter and love shared with Jake represented a new chapter. Outside, the storm remained relentless, but within, she felt a resolve forming. Perhaps the real storm wasn't the one brewing outside after all, it was right here, in this moment, caught between the familiar past and the uncertain future. Maybe we can talk, she decided, glancing back at Evan. But first, let's make sure we all get through this storm together. As the rain continued to fall, they stood together beneath the pavilion, a complicated mixture of old memories, new friendships, decisions to be made, and the promise of what lay ahead. Sometimes storms could bring out the best, forcing difficult conversations to the forefront even if it felt unbearable at times, and there, amid the chaos, Sarah realized that amidst the storms a true family would always find a way to weather them together.